Hello, this is wmpyr. First of all, just wanted to say thank you to you guys for checking out my exercise montage videos. The purpose was basically for me to, well, to get a workout. I need to work out, so I did that. And number two is to basically, it's a way for me to keep track of myself, like a diary, like a blog. Sometimes a whole year goes by without me filming myself exercising, and it helps. It's proof for me that I can see the type of exercises that I was doing at the time and what kind of shape I was in. So it's really just for me to keep track of myself. And number three, if it inspires people out there, then that's great. That's more than I can ask for. So that's why I made that video. And I have made videos like that in the past before, so if you're interested, please check it out. I try to use minimal equipment, almost no equipment, and oftentimes it is solo training. Oftentimes it is at home. So, hopefully that'll give some extra incentive for you guys. Martial arts goals wise, okay, number one is because I'm exercising for martial arts purposes. Number one is so I could be fit for combat. Number two is I want to be healthy. It's kind of hard to imagine to go into combat not being healthy. Of course, if you have to go into combat, you're not going to have a choice, but I'd rather go in healthy. So those two. And then number three is to improve combat abilities. So the exercises that I'm doing are supposed to help me with my martial arts techniques or attributes or things of that nature. Alright, for working out, my philosophy, I've said it before in a bunch of videos, is number one, it's for a long-term workout, okay? And in order for that to happen, I believe is number one, you have to map out your minimum. Everyone likes to map out their maximum. They like to say, like, I'm going to work out 5 times a week, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Those are all when conditions are ideal. So I recommend you do the absolute opposite. In other words, you map out your complete minimum. At the worst day, I don't care if a relative dies, I don't care if zombie apocalypse occurs, okay? End of the world, whatever. On your worst day, you're going to say, I'm going to work out once a week. Something like that. Something very, very realistic, something doable, okay? And then the next goal is to keep that, to absolutely make that happen, okay? If you make the minimum, it's different from the maximum. Maximum is like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, those are all ideal circumstances, that's your dream, that's your goal, but minimum means you need to do this. This is like law. The other thing that's very important about mapping out your minimum is that once you start working out and you know your minimum, every chance you get, you should be trying to surpass that as much as possible. Just because, you say, okay, my minimum is to work out once a week, and you just constantly do once a week, then you're kind of like, that's not a minimum then. You know what I mean? The minimum is the absolute bare minimum. This is what you do when things are bad, not when things are normal. So, everyone likes, everyone should like interest, alright? So every time you do extra, so like if you say you're going to work out once a week, but you work out twice or 3 times a week for that week, okay? Those extra times you did it, that's extra money in the bank. That's how you have to view it. And everybody likes extra money in the bank, okay? So, the way I do push-ups and stuff like that, the way I count my exercises, if I say I'm going to do 10 push-ups, I always do 11 or 12. I never just do 10. Alright, the second part of the philosophy is, for me, is I constantly seek motivation. When you get inspired, when you get motivated, you go, yeah, I'm going to do this, I can do this, right? But that's a temporary, it's like a mood swing. That's a temporary a mood that you're going to be in, okay? That emotion's going to pass very quickly, okay? So you sign up in the gym, and then, a month later you're going, why did I sign up here? I hardly go there anymore. That's because, you didn't constantly seek motivation, all right? You can't rely on that one factor that got you all inspired, because that's only temporary. So every day, I get on YouTube and look for videos, every day I, put on music, different types of music to help me pump me up. I visualize different types of training that I've seen in the past, or maybe I've experienced in the past, and I try to let that motivate me. I read some interviews with some world famous fighters, world famous martial artists. That also helps me too. So constantly looking for motivation. That's very important. Okay, the next thing that's important to me is cardio. Cardio, if it comes down to it, if I could only choose one physical attribute to develop, it would be cardio. I know a fight only takes, it can only take a couple of seconds or whatever, but believe me, those couple of seconds is going to be the toughest, roughest time of your life. You're going to be breathing really hard, the adrenaline, everything. You got to be in shape, okay? So people would say, for a fight, you don't need to be in shape. It's silly. Okay, that being said, the important thing about cardio to realize is that the cardio that I'm looking for is different from, like, let's say, a long distance runner. So if you look at those people who do very, very long distance running and who are excellent at it, the body shape, the way they're built is very efficient, and they're usually very, very light, but that's not what I'm seeking for combat. The cardio, yes, it's important to be able to go for a long time, but long time not while being efficient, not while making very small jogging movements. It's actually how long can I go while doing very hard movements. So like my running would consist of sprint and then start to jog when I can't sprint anymore, and then sprint again, and then just repeat that. And how far can I do that? You know what I mean? Things that require a lot of muscular work. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Things that are really, it's going to tax my lungs very rapidly, very quickly. Okay, the way to go about these exercise routine is I go by rounds. Okay, now it's up to you to decide what is one round. Okay, one round can equal 3 minutes. That's boxing. You could go 5 minutes, and you could go 10 minutes, which is like MMA. Okay, of course you could do more. You could have 15 or 20 minutes as one round if you want to. But generally a good place to start is 3 minutes, okay? And then from there you could go 3 minutes, go 3 rounds. If you're feeling better and stronger, try 6 rounds. If you're feeling like Rocky, go 12 rounds, okay? And once again, if you go 5 minutes for one round and you do 6 rounds of those, that can get pretty tough, really tough. Back when I was training in MMA, helping those guys out, helping coach those guys and stuff, I was working alongside with them. And the workouts that we were doing was, we went like easily 10 rounds, and those were very hard. It's 10 rounds pretty much with hardly any break in between. You just keep going and going and going, so that's like normal. And if those guys who were going to compete, I mean, they were expected to do that again. So it's like 2 10 rounds. That's super harsh, and this was an amateur circuit, okay? Anyway, I use music to keep track of the rounds. I need something auditory, because during the workout you're paying attention to whatever you're doing, whether it be sprawls or frog squats or push-ups or Hindu squats, whatever. You're doing that, so it's nice to have something that you could just hear rather than look for the clock or something like that. A lot of boxing gyms use a clock with a buzzer, okay? I like to use music. Roughly one track, one music is 3 minutes. So it works out that way. So, the most popular songs out there is going to be a roughly 3 minutes. The shorter ones are going to be 2 minutes, and the longer ones are going to be 4 to 5, but it balances out. So you can do that. Okay, that's what I like to do. And another thing that I like to do is the pennies in the jar type method is, okay, once I finish one round, I'll grab something like this. You could grab pennies if you want, and then put it, okay, and just toss it into a container like this. So that's one round, okay, second round, third round, and this helps keep me track, of how many rounds that I've done. So, okay, the main idea of the workout here is basically using stations to work out, okay? Kind of like an obstacle course. Basically, I treat it as like one big race, okay? So from beginning to end, the moment I say start, begin, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going. Minimal breaks. If you start off, lately I've been doing 0 breaks. I'll just go from one exercise straight to the next without any breaks at all. That's the way I've been doing it. The reason why I treat it as like one big race that way is because it really taxes the cardio that way. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is for cardio. So like if you do push-ups, let's say 25 push-ups, and then you take a break, and then when you're feeling strong, you do another 25 push-ups, or you take a break and you're feeling strong, and then you do some squats, okay? You could keep going for quite a while, okay? But if you do them back to back to back, it makes it way harder. And what that does is it makes my exercising time a lot shorter, so it's a lot more efficient. Okay, the next thing that I want to go into is the type of exercises that I do. The first one, this is very good for like a warm-up and also a cool-down, is I like to do movements that I've learned from Aikido and Tai Chi. So, you know, in Aikido we have different types of undos where it's like arm raising, and it's almost like you're swinging a sword. Actually, it is, you're swinging down a sword, these kinds of exercises. And of course you have the very fluid Tai Chi type exercises where you can really start to focus on your skeletal structure. The next thing that I go into is I feel that a good athlete is going to have a good warm-up system. And for me, that comes from the Russian martial arts exercises that I learned. I made a video about it. It's quite a long video. I believe it's called Warm-Up Exercises, if I'm not mistaken. So please check it out. Go into some detail there. And that system has totally changed my outlook in the martial arts and things of that nature. A lot of these exercises and these motions are rehabilitation type exercises. It also breaks down a good method to tackling exercises, which is first you have isolation type exercises, and then as you get more and more familiar with isolation type exercises, what we try to move into is actually circular type motion, and then from circular type motion we go into involving the entire body. So I try to do that with pull-ups, with dumbbells, with weights. So at first it's very isolated, you know, where I'm just focusing just on the bicep or something like that. And then from there I like to go into where, you know, once again the motion is more circular. So I'm holding a dumbbell and I'm making circular motions. And then next it'll be more like kettlebell exercises where I'm involving the whole body. So I'm actually using my calves and my quads, and that's when it starts to get a little bit more advanced, okay, depending on how heavy you go. I usually don't go that heavy just because I'm a smaller guy, and you know, with heavy you have to be careful. You have, even with light, I can feel like, you know, certain parts of my back start straining and stuff like that. So you just gotta be careful, okay? It's not about pride and ego and stuff like that. So, you know, anyway, moving on. Another very important part is stretching. I try to stretch throughout the day. It's not necessarily immediately part of the exercises that I do. I just stretch separately throughout the days, but that is important. Another thing is meditation. There's different types of meditation and different types of purposes for them, okay? So sometimes you may be very scatterbrained. There's a lot going on in your life, and then in those kinds of instances, if you could just sit down and just relax and just let all that that's just going crazy in your brain just kind of settle, okay? You don't have to go into, you know, no mind, or, you know, some kind of Zen status, or focus on your breathing, or you don't even have to do any of that. All you're doing is you're just letting it settle down just a little bit, okay? Because things are crazy, so you're just kind of letting it chill just a little bit. That's all it could be. That's a very, you know, minimal meditation, you know, very practical. Or there's other times where I'm actually trying to develop attributes where I would focus like a dot on a wall, and I'm trying to increase my ability to concentrate, you know, increase my ability to focus, and that's going to help me in different venues. It's kind of like I'm working on a very specific ability, you know. So there's many types of different ways to meditate, and for different purposes, okay? Sometimes I like to meditate and I'm just focusing on a certain thing inside my mind. Okay, so maybe I'm trying to write a story and I just want to focus on that, and I want to put all the other stuff aside. Okay,